When you're turning loops, there are two pins that we use. A head pin, which has a nail tip finish, that's going to act as the very stopper on something like an earring, your pendant or a charm. An eye pin has a loop at the very top, and that's going to mean that your bead is connectable top and bottom, because it's this eye that we want to replicate when we're turning our loops, be it on a head pin or an eye pin. So we need a centimetre for a standard size loop. Now if you're new to turning loops, it's a good idea to use a ruler and a measuring stick so that you have that centimetre spot on each time. So take an extra head or eye pin, measure exactly a centimetre and bend that over so that you've got a little measuring stick that you can just keep on your mat and use each time. You also want to make sure that you're using the right depth of your plier. So pop your eye pin onto your round nose pliers and you'll see the pliers are thinner at the top and they get bigger towards the bottom. So it's this depth, the size of the eye pin, that you want to use each time. So you can mark that with a pen and you'll have the correct depth to use each time. It's having the same size and shape of loop that's going to, of course, make your pieces look really professional. So we'll start with our head pin. Pop your bead onto the head pin. So this will be for charms or pendants and droplets, connectable at one end. And we're going to make the pin sit at 90 degrees directly above the bead. So you can use your pliers or your fingers. It's a nice pliable wire. And we're going to cut and leave a centimetre. Use your measuring stick if needs be, but it's a centimetre we need for that standard size loop. You will begin to know by eye the more you make. These extra pieces that come off are going to be really useful. You can actually create your own eye pins out of them later on. So use your thumb as a stopper on the end of the pin and sit the bead on your index finger with the pin facing up to the ceiling. And we're going to take a flat wrist and hold the pin as near to the top of the wire as you can, so there isn't any excess wire coming out of the top. Now we're going to roll this pin, so I'm holding it quite firmly, rolling it away from me at about 90-degree wrist turn, and then let go and return your hand to flat. That way you can have smaller controlled movements that are going to mean that you can roll that pin all the way around until the pin meets the main body of the pin that the bead is connected to. And that's going to give you the correct size loop each time. So that's one component of our earring. I'm now going to use the eye pin. This is going to create the connectable component. So our bead will be connectable top and bottom. So again, just under a centimetre. Keep those extra sections and we're going to roll that away from us. If you find it easier, you can roll them towards you. You can even peer down on the pin as it's rolling. It's whatever is going to get you that lovely, perfect circle. Now, occasionally you will find that your pin and the loop that you've created are facing opposite ways. So just take a secondary set of pliers and twist that so that the bead and the pin are then facing the same direction. Really nice fine detail, and that's going to make your piece look extra professional. So we're going to connect them together. You need to take the shorter section of your loop and lift it up. So we're not pulling apart that loop we've created, we're just simply lifting it. Connect it to the next piece. You could create your own chain in this way, connecting lots of different eye pins. In this case, we're just going to do a simple earring. So we have a head pin as the stopper bead and an eye pin in the middle. Lift that pin up at the top and I'm connecting here to a simple ear wire. Close that and you then have a really nice set of earrings with just 4 pins, 4 beads and hopefully some beautifully turned loops. Now if you're finding that your loops look more like shepherd's crooks, for example, if your loop actually has a sharper point down at the bottom, and you'll find sometimes shop bought pieces have loops that look like these. It's because you're not rolling all of the wire. So you want to make sure that your wire is as near to the top of the plier as possible. Get that first turn on your pin. If needs be, go in a second time and you can lift those around. Nice small movements are going to give you a nice loop. Now you might find that often comes out to the side, looks like a P as opposed to an I. That's just because we haven't bent it to 90 degrees first. So like I said, you want to counterbalance that roll first. If you have a P, pop your pliers into the pin, and it's not the eye itself we're going to bend, it's the main body of the pin. Just give that a little tilt upwards and that's going to straighten that up and hopefully give you a really beautiful loop.